What's going on, guys? Alex Holder with Alex Holder Fitness, and welcome to yet another vlog. Going to church now. I drum at church sometimes, and that is today. But my battery life is empty, so I'll talk to you in a second. Guys, I think my dogs might be lesbians. Caught in the action. Okay, so here's the rundown, guys. It's Sunday evening. It's been a pretty busy weekend. So yesterday I had a wedding, and so I parked the cars there. So I was there at like 3:30. Yesterday morning I had to take my car in to get some work done on it, and I thought I was just gonna have to get it aligned, but I ended up having to replace my struts and also one of the front tire rods. So that took all morning, and then yesterday I was gonna film my workout, but I didn't. And then last night, the wedding, obviously, and then this morning I drummed, and then this afternoon, when I got to the gym, I realized my camera wasn't charged because I forgot to look at this. So I have my chargers over here, right? I plugged it in at this end, and I came back later to plug it in the second time, and that wasn't even in the wall. So I don't really have much film for today, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about what we call time under tension, how it's useful, and also how to use time under tension and the eccentric and concentric portions of the movement to increase your muscle gain. So stay tuned for that. Wow, now I'm in the basement. So cool. Okay, guys, so let's talk a little bit about time under tension. But first, I need to get a real tripod. Wow, sick. Alright, guys, so here's the thing with the thing. Thumbnail. So, alright, so we got time under tension. You've probably heard this term if you've been working out for very long. Time under tension is simply this. Time under tension is the amount of time that the muscle is undergoing stress from an exercise. For example, when I'm doing bench press, if my total duration of my set of 8 is 15 seconds, then my time under tension will be about 15 seconds. That's a little short, so 15 seconds is pretty short for your time under tension. An ideal time under tension is 45 to 60 seconds. Meaning, if you're trying to build muscle, you need to be in that 45 to 60 second range for each set. So if I'm doing a set of 15 reps, then I can stretch each rep out to about 3 to 4 seconds, and then that'll equal 45 seconds to a minute. But if I'm only doing 8 reps, then my the total duration of each rep is going to be a little bit slower. Now what this is going to do is this is going to allow for your body or your muscle to fully contract, and then by the time that you do the eccentric portion of the movement. Okay, so on the concentric portion of the movement, the muscle is coming together like this. It's getting real tight, and that's why sometimes people cramp up, because the muscle does this, it gets really tight. And then that's the concentric, and then when the muscle is pulling apart is the eccentric. Now, all the muscle growth comes from the muscle tear in the eccentric portion of the movement, meaning once you do the concentric as in contraction, once you do the concentric portion of the movement, then it's the eccentric portion, the part where the muscle fibers are pulling apart, that actually tears the muscle, and then it will rebuild stronger, ideally. This is why it's so important for that time under tension to be increased, because when the time under tension is longer, more muscle fibers are being activated, therefore more muscle fibers are being torn apart. So ideally, if your nutrition is on point, you're getting in enough calories and all the right macro setup, then the muscles are going to be growing back more based on your time under tension. So this changes for certain things. I'd say your compound movements doesn't necessarily apply to as much, but if you do, like on your chest day, if you're doing bench press first, maybe keep your time under tension a little bit lower, that way you can go higher in weight, and then as you move into more isolation movements, like your certain cable flies, focus more on the time under tension, right? So the more isolation movements, you want a longer time under tension, and then the more compound movements, you want a shorter time under tension, because you're going for strength on those compound movements. So that's a good general rule of thumb, is to activate the concentric and the eccentric portion of the movement. Okay, so for example, On a bicep curl, the concentric portion is when you come up, because that's when the bicep is contracting and being flexed and also moving the weight. And then the eccentric portion would just be when you move your arm down, when you straighten your elbow, and when you relax the bicep. Now, the tricep is going to be the opposite. Concentric portion of the tricep movement is going to be straight down like this, and then the eccentric is going to be coming back up like this. Now, where on the bicep, it's opposite because they're antagonist muscles. So your chest and your back are antagonist, your quads and your hamstrings are antagonist. Technically, your calves and your shins are antagonist, and then, you know, like your front and your rear are antagonists. So, like, for example, the concentric of a side deltoid is going to be like when you're doing a side ladder like this, and then the eccentric is going to be on the way back down. So you can change up your tempo a lot of ways. So here's a couple examples. One thing that you can start off by doing is on your concentric portion of the movement. You start out at the bottom, or we'll say you're doing a bicep curl. You start out on the bottom. So take 2 seconds to come up. So 1, 2, and then you can pause at the top for 2 seconds. 1, 2, and that's gonna continue to keep contracting the muscle. And then you can take 4 seconds down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 0 seconds at the bottom. Start back up. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that was a little bit fast, but you get what I'm saying. Now, another thing that you can do is you can do like a 1 second contraction, a 1 second on the concentric, no pause at the top, and then a 4 second or 6 second or even an 8 second on the eccentric. I've done exercises for the quads where you do 1 second on the concentric, 0 second pause, and then 10 seconds on the eccentric, which is brutal. So just switch it up. You know, there's 4 different points of each exercise. You have the concentric, you have a pause at the top, you have the eccentric, and then you have a pause at the bottom. Now, typically you don't want to pause at the bottom depending on what you're doing, just because you're going to give the muscle time to relax, and when you're really trying to activate muscle fibers, then that's not what you're going to be doing. But you get the point. You can switch things up to really change it, but a good general rule of thumb is to try to get each set in between 45 to 60 seconds. If you're feeling crazy, you know, you could go like 60 to 75 or even 80 seconds. But again, the longer you go, the more lactic acid you're going to feel, and the more your muscles going to burn. So that's it, guys. Hope you learned a little bit. Hope you guys can apply this to your gym life. Sorry if this video bored you or anything. More informative than entertaining, but that's just what happens when I had a really busy weekend, and then I messed up today when I got to the gym, forgot to have my battery charged. So give the thumbs up a video. Give the video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Peace.